Hello, my good people. I'm back. Ignore the blanket. My house is cold. It's freaking cold in Maryland. Our power keeps going in and out, so therefore it is cold in my household. But today, as you can tell by the title, I'm finally reacting to Joshy Boy's interview that he did on the Zach Sang show. One, I love this channel. I love Zach Sang. I watch all of his stuff, from like his little interview with Olivia to like some of the people from Victorious. Why Don't We? May not believe me, but I even watched all of Sabrina's. I loved hers. Hers were really good. And some other people's that I physically cannot remember at the moment. But here I am reacting to this. It's been a crazy couple weeks. I have literally been sitting in my room rewatching Euphoria for the third time. And I just finished watching their interviews because their press, or no, their premiere came out. Like, they did the premiere yesterday, which was Wednesday, January 5th. So I did their premiere, so I've been like looking at all their stuff. And this little life update, I went and saw Spider-Man No Way Home twice, because I've never seen the movie twice in the movie theater except for this one, because I loved it so much. I'm currently I have a healthy obsession with Tom Holland and Zendaya. So I've always loved Zendaya ever since her Disney days, like obsessed with her, because she was like the first black female I've ever seen on Disney, and like, other than Raven-Symoné, but like I've seen her on Disney as like this woman of empowerment, and like she's only 5 years older than me. No, 6 years older than me. So I'm like if she can do this, why can't I? So here I am filming YouTube videos. But I swear to you, if I ever met her, I think I would physically, emotionally, mentally evaporate. So that's where we're at. So I've been really, really obsessed with her lately, which is kind of crazy because she's freaking Zendaya. And like, if her and Tom Holland are actually dating, like, he won that life. He's literally playing Spider-Man, and he got any girl in the industry, and he got Zendaya out of all people. So, okay, sorry for my little ramble. I just had to tell you about my life update. So we are currently going to react to Joshua Bassett's interview with Zach Sang. I love Zach Sang. I love his stuff. So, yes, I'm going to try and make this as short as possible because I don't want to edit this. But I'm going to have to. But we're going to do what we can. So, yes, if the power goes out, ignore it, because it probably will. Okay.
Hi, beautiful human. I'm Zach, and welcome, Joshua Bassett.
Hey, hey, hey.
I forgot to say, I've seen clips of this on TikTok, but I haven't seen the whole video. But I love how comfy he is in his little Christmas applesauce and his little socks. His hair. Love him.
We're here, baby.
Yeah, we are here, and we have a lot of life to discuss and a lot of music to dissect. And
Yes,
I've been thinking about like where to start, because I've been wanting to get you on the show for a long time.
Right.
I met you years ago. Do you remember this?
Yes, I was just going to say, yeah, way before, it was like a couple weeks before I booked High School Musical. It was like, we met at the Troubadour.
Yes.
And we were talking, and I was a fan of yours because, you know, I watched the show, and you were like, what do you got going on? I was like, well, I'm going up for this thing, but I don't know, it's a little weird. It's this High School Musical spinoff. And I was like, I know it sounds stupid, but the script's actually really good. And I was actually embarrassed about it, funnily enough. And then, you know, I got the show, and so much life has happened, and here we are.
The most life has happened. And then, you know, I remember also seeing you. I've seen you twice, ever. It was at the Troubadour, and then it was at a Just Jared Halloween party.
Oh my God, yeah.
And nobody gave. I felt like Caddy from Mean Girls showing up to the Halloween party where everybody's dressed really sexy. I came to the party dressed as a pineapple,
Right.
feeling incredibly uncomfortable. And who was there to really kind of calm my nerves and concerns but Joshua Bassett?
Oh my gosh. No, I'm a big fan of that costume. That was so good.
It was a mess, a shit show. But by the way, like, after that, I really start getting into your music, and I think it was like maybe a couple months later you released
I feel like I'm invading privacy. Like, I feel like I'm literally just watching a conversation with the two of them. And like, I love Dan. He's my favorite when he comes in, because he's so like, he does not hold back, excuse me, and he goes in for those questions. He's like, I'm just gonna jump ship and ask you these questions without any sympathy. But that's what I love.
Sense. Is that
yes.
correct? Is my timeline like almost there?
I think so, yeah, because that was right before High School Musical came out, and I tried to release the song right around the time High School Musical was coming out. Or no, it was beginning of the pandemic. So yeah, it was like 4 or 5 months after that.
But,
yeah, did that.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I think the first technically the first song I wrote was to Ask a Girl to Formal.
That's
and
adorable.
It worked. Basically, 3 guys had asked her, and
Love that
she
story.
turned all of them down. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna ask this girl, like, I gotta go big. I'm like, I gotta give it all I got. So I was like, I grabbed my ukulele, and that was the only instrument I knew at the time. So I just, figured out a quick little song, and then the next day, me and my friend went to her house with, like, I think we had flowers or something in the ukulele or balloons. I sang, and then she said yes, and then we went. So that was like, and I've talked about this before, and I actually sang that song in my audition for High School Musical because originally in the script, my character writes a song for Nini. And so I was like, it was just the perfect, like, real world reflection of, like, what it actually, the perfect reflection. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, dude, that's art imitating life right there at its finest. You had been there, you had done that.
Yeah,
I want to go on the Zach Sang show. Someone call him up.
Thing where I was like, the first song that I really wrote, I showed it to a friend, and she literally said, maybe stick to acting. And I was like, oh, okay. 2 weeks later, I'm hanging out with my friend, and I'm telling him about how I'm going up to audition for these different things and whatnot in LA. It was right when I had started. And he literally was like, yeah, okay, good luck. Maybe stick to the singing. And I was like, what? So both sides said stick to the other, and here I am doing both.
Okay.
Yes.
So in that moment,
King. Love that for him. Just kill the game. Kill the game.
want from your friend honesty. So do you take it as such when somebody says, like, maybe you should stick to not music?
I mean,
do you think it's honest when they're giving it to you?
I don't know. That's tough. I think that girl in particular was very insecure, and I could kind of sense that, and it seemed like she was projecting a little bit of that. And to me, it wasn't discouraging. It was more so like, okay, I got to keep working hard instead of being like, forget it, because I knew that there was something there, and I personally love the song, and so I was like, I don't know. I think it depends on who it's coming from, but yeah.
Well, who it's coming from and who it's going to, because somebody else could have heeded the warning of their friend and took it as, scripture,
100%.
And ended up quitting music the next day.
Yeah, I honestly think it helped because I kind of kept my head down after that and sort of was just writing on my own. And I think because I wasn't looking for approval or I wasn't like showing it to people, I was just continuing to get better and better and better.
Art is different for everybody, right? Perception of art is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So some old guy could really hear it as like it's not a full song.
Right.
But also at the same time, like I hear it and I go, I understand this. I feel like...
See, that's what it gets me was like with with other generations, like Gen Z, like we are so accepting of like different types of art and who you are as a person, whether who you love, like all that type of stuff. And like in my mind, art is so like unique and you have to have a love and passion for it. So like songwriting is an art, acting is an art, painting is an art, drawing is an art. Like my dog, all those types of things, those are all different forms of art. And like people might be like, oh, acting and singing and all that stuff, that's so easy. Well, I don't see you out on like the big screen doing anything. Like no. And then like when it comes to like loving who you want to love, because I know it's going to come up in here, like my parents' generation, they don't understand like they understand being gay, but they don't understand like the binary and the non-binary and being trans or pan. Like that makes me angry because everybody needs to know, I don't care who you love. You be happy with who you want to love. And like they're like, oh, you're born your gender or your sexuality, not sexuality, but like you're born your specific gender and like you have to stay that way. I don't agree with that. Like if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, there's an issue there. But that's just my take on things. I try to like teach my parents every now and then. Yeah, they are wonderful human beings, and like we normally always agree on things. But now that my brother and I are getting older, we kind of just talk about different things. So my brother and I agree. He's 15, I'm 19, so it's like it balances out. So And at least I have him to talk to. Sorry, I went on a tangent there because it makes me angry when we talk about these topics. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I digress, and let's get back. Sorry, I'm sorry.
At what point do you know that you're good? Or at what point do you choose to show it to anybody after that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, I think I love the saying, which actually is, it ties into everything. And I heard this recently, and it really changed my perspective, especially when in regards to like my public perception or whatever. Somebody, a pretty famous celebrity who I won't say, who's been through like some bad PR stuff, had somebody say to him, "Don't let them tell you who you are." And I was like, oh my God, that's huge. Just hearing that, don't let them tell you who you are.
And that's so different with the music industry versus like the acting industry, because I know in the music industry it's like just you, and you have all these people telling you what you can and cannot do. But in like the acting industry, you have like a more of a say of what you want to do, which I love. And like you have more leeway with the acting industry because you have your people with you. But like with singing, it's just like kind of you, and like you have these record labels who like kind of want to take advantage of you and stuff like that. So that's what I've been really interested in all this stuff because of like obviously Taylor Swift, and I like people are always wondering like I'm bringing back Zendaya. They're always like, why doesn't she come back with her music career? And she has said before that like the people in the music industry are terrible. Like they don't want to accept you for who you are, and she's a black female, so I definitely see it being difficult for her. But everybody has a different perception on what they want to think about. So I'm just gonna that's all. Sorry, you guys are really you're just coming to my TED Talk for the ride. I'm so sorry.
Know the answer to where to find the line on terms of like knowing if you're good or not. I think at the end of the day, if you're making something you're proud of and you genuinely love it and it brings joy to you, that's all that you really need to do. And if other people like that, in addition to that, that's wonderful. Like that's everyone's dream. But I think ultimately, where you get stuck is when you don't even like what you like, and then someone else doesn't like it. That you're over, because it's like, you know, that's a double whammy. You can't even stand behind it. But if you can stand behind it at the end of the day, then it shouldn't matter really what anyone else really thinks of it.
Has there been a piece of art or something you've done that you couldn't stand behind?
No, there's been plenty that my label has tried to make me put out, for sure. Yeah, no, there's definitely things where people are pushing me in a direction. They're saying, we think you should do this song or this
like
show
controlling
or this
almost.
XYZ.
I don't know.
And it just didn't sit right with my soul. And I was like, I can't stand behind that. And I think you hear a lot of times different artists saying, you know, when I was early on in my career, my label forced me to put out this song, and it was either a flop or I hated it or everyone hated it or whatever. And I couldn't even argue because I didn't like it either. And so I think that's where it's really sad. But I don't think that there's anything
that's not right.
necessarily put out that I can't stand behind. There's plenty that I'm like, I wish I could have done that better. But, you know, in general, I feel like I stand behind everything I've put out.
By the way, that's going to happen no matter what.
For sure.
You distracted me with the nails, but I wanted to go into your music. I don't even know where to begin. The music you're creating now is obviously different than what was, but I do want to get to what has been. Lie, Lie, Lie. Common Sense we got to. I also love LA, Never.
LA
but songs that you haven't really put out, really, they just live on your Instagram, correct?
Yeah.
Like LA doesn't exist anywhere but Instagram?
But YouTube and Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you stop there?
Well, it's not that I've stopped there. It's just, you know, it's funny, the politics of all of it. It's like talking about the subjective thing. You know, my label thinks we should put out this, and I think we should put out this, and we have to compromise because we're in business together, and so we have to figure out, you know, how to make everybody happy. And they're thinking, you know, what's going to be the most commercially viable, and I'm thinking what's going to be the most emotionally vulnerable. You know, and I'm like, so there's a bit of a, you know, it's a push and a pull, and I think I haven't put out. I mean, to be honest, in the last year, I think I have 100 songs. Like, I'm not even kidding. I've written so many songs in this last year that nobody's heard and that have not gone out. And it's so funny because every single one of my friends, every single one of my label, every single person I show it to has a different favorite, including in the 3 songs that just came out. There's everyone I talk to has a different favorite. And it's fascinating to me. I think that's a good thing because I think...
Well, Joshua, I think you need to release all 100 songs and put it into like 4 or 5 albums, because I will gladly listen to it no matter what the case is, because I want it now. Because I want you to put an album. I'm tired of these EPs, man. Make an album, get your money's worth, and do the thing. Joshua boy, I want to see you at the Grammys one day. I want to see you there. I want to see you at the Grammys because you deserve it. You deserve everything that's handed to you. Except for the hate.
A little bit more diverse of like different sounds and whatnot in my different songs. But yeah, I mean, it's so hard to know what to put out when and whatnot. But yeah.
So do you write more in the year 2021 than you've ever written before?
I would say so, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I've also put out, actually, no, I only started putting out music last year. So I can't say that. But yeah, I definitely have written more this year than any other year. And I would say I've made more progress this year, just more growth in general as a person and as an artist, I think.
But the two kind of go hand in hand, right?
100%. No, literally. I always say that, like, you can't write a song unless you've, like, at least done some of the emotional processing, because what in my life, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, like, I numb a lot in general, like whether it's through TikTok or through whatever it might be, I'm numbing myself a lot. And I found myself numbing all the time, and then going into sessions and like trying to just open up and be emotionally vulnerable, and you can't like turn it off and on like a switch. It just doesn't work like that. And so I realized if I want to be open and vulnerable in my songs, I have to be open and vulnerable in my real life, and then it'll come through the songs, and it worked every time. The hardest part about this last year has been being afraid of speaking the truth, and
understandable.
Whether that's to protect certain people, or whether that's to protect myself, or whether that's to, whatever it might be. I think that's been the thing stopping me the most, is like this fear of like, oh, I can't write this because, what are people going to think, or because it's going to hurt this person, or whatever it might be. And I think that has like stunted me the most. And so what I've just tried to do is really, when I'm in the studio, be like, you can say whatever you need to say, whatever is honest. And then you never have to put out the song, but at least be honest with yourself and do the song justice in the moment. And that tends to work every time.
Well, because
so in not so many words, he puts other people's feelings before himself, which is exactly what I do. And that is probably why it took him so long to release Crisis, Secret, and Set Me Free, because he was thinking about other people's feelings. But I'm so glad he put them out, because the world needed that. They really did. And I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
Right. I sent out a message that was like, look, due to the nature of pop culture, there's going to be a lot of conversations, positive and negative and everywhere in between, in the next little bit. And I'm asking you, please, to treat everybody with love and respect, no matter what. Even if they're saying terrible things, even if, no matter what, no matter who they are, it doesn't matter. Please treat them with love and respect, because that's the only way that I respond to that stuff. Because
treat them with kindness. Treat people with kindness. Harry Styles said the best. He said the best.
That's the only way forward, really. And so when people were spreading misinformation, like, oh, this whatever XYZ drama, they would just be like, hey, actually, that's not right. It's actually this. Instead of being like, screw you, you're it's like, we're not about attacking people and making it like this whole thing. And
it's a beautiful thing that you've done, and you're encouraging kindness and peace and honesty before anything.
100%. Yeah.
And by the way, common courtesy.
Totally.
See, like, this is why I don't understand why people were hating on him so bad. I mean, I do understand because of her fan base, and her fan base also relates to Taylor Swift's fan base. And if you were a Taylor Swift fan, like me as well, people spread massive amount of hate. I do not spread hate because I don't believe in that nonsense. Like, why would you? Doesn't make any sense. Like, kill him with kindness. So when they were all spreading hate, I kind of wish she said something, but it's fine. It's over with now. He's living his best life now, so that's all that matters to me. So,
and I think
common decency.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people will be like, well, don't blame artists, blame their fans. But I think
no,
we should really look at how much you are responsible as an artist for what conversations go on
I
around
just said
your
that.
art. And I think, obviously you can't control all of it, but the people who look up to you,
if you're an artist or a celebrity or whatever, if you say something, your fans are bound to listen to you. So, I mean, anything could have helped in his situation.
And are supporting you, respect you, hopefully. And so that shouldn't be underestimated, I think.
The power of a pop star or a superstar or a culture shaper as it relates to the community that they've cultivated and grown.
100%.
That community looks up to you. You are an example to them. So you set the tone and you lead the way.
Absolutely.
101.
Yeah.
You really defined this period in your life as a crisis. When did it begin, and has it ended yet?
Well, technically, you'd say the beginning of the year, maybe January, is when the crisis sort of began. And you know, it's sort of
Well, it was for
interesting the
12
way in
months.
which it's all. This year has been insane. I was thinking about it on my way here, like reflecting on like truly what a jam-packed year it's been. I mean, I don't know how much you're sort of in touch with what's gone on in my life, but
I'm pretty in touch.
yeah, I mean, you know, January I was hospitalized and
For septic shock and heart failure due to what?
due to stress, my friend, due to stress.
So is this stress leading up to what you think is coming, or is it caused only after?
Only after, yeah. Yeah, they actually still don't know the exact cause of it, and they've guessed that it's been stress triggered and whatnot, and which is, by the way, a crazy testament to how powerful our minds are, because and how powerful energy can be, especially when you're directing energy towards somebody or towards something. It's crazy how impactful it can really be, and you know, it was like a week of getting ill, getting sicker, and then it got to a point where I, to be quite honest, felt like I was having a heart attack, and I was like, so I called the medic. And I was like, hey, I don't want to be dramatic, but I'm pretty sure I'm having a heart attack. And he said, you have a history of anxieties, just take a nap. And I was like, okay, maybe, you're probably right. So I laid down, and after 5 minutes, I was like, nope, I'm not okay. And so I called,
What type of healthcare worker says take a nap?
High School Musical, and I called the production office, and I said, hey, guys, I don't want to be dramatic, but I seriously think I'm having a heart attack. And they sent a car to pick me up. And the next call was to my mom. And I immediately broke down crying, because it finally became like a real tangible, like it wasn't just, oh, I'm sick. It's like, oh no, this is serious.
This is a tangible physical thing that it's manifested into.
100%. And this is even crazier, is that when I checked into the hospital, you know, first they weren't really taking me seriously. And I was trying to tell them, like, you guys, I am not okay. They thought I had COVID or whatever. And I was like, I don't have COVID, because I got tested. I was like, I am not okay. So they got me seen, they ran me through some tests, and the doctors came in and they said, we don't want to alarm you, but we have to let you know you are the sickest patient in the hospital. And this is during peak COVID times, which is insane to hear. If you hadn't checked in, you wouldn't have lasted 12 hours, and you have a 30% chance of surviving. And I was like, copy. And so from that moment forward, really from the week prior, but especially from that moment forward, and by the way, my song was coming out in 2 hours. La 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 was about to drop. So it was like, the biggest mind, I don't know if we're allowed to cuss, but it was wild. So from that moment on, all I could focus any attention on was healing. That was it. It was getting better, focusing on the good. I have no choice here but to survive. That's all my energy can go towards. I can't worry about whatever. I can't think about what people are saying. I can't think about anything else other than getting better. My mom, so sweet, she got in within like 2 hours. Like, she flew in from LA or San Diego she got on a flight within half an hour. So she was there. That was really nice. That's actually where I got my lucky socks. Is Tim Federle, the showrunner for High School Musical, came to the hospital. He actually came with me because he was so concerned, obviously, when he heard what was going on. And he brought me these socks, which were really my comfort socks in the hospital.
And they're with you today.
And they're with me today. Which is so interesting if you think about the power in words. Like, really, if you think about it. In the last few months, I've done my very best to not say anything that I don't want to be true. And so, you know, if, for example, if I'm worried about something, instead of being like, oh, this is probably going to suck, saying, I'm hoping for the best. You know, it's a slight...
He deserves the world. I just want to give him a hug. That, like, is going to take me a minute to decompress. I know I didn't say anything while he was talking, but, like, my brain was rattled. Like, how does a person let whoever they, like, care about or, like, whatever go on? Like, how do you let them get to that state of their mind, you know? Like, he reposted everything for that girl. He called her a Disney princess. Everything that you could ever imagine. And then, it's just not reciprocated. It's feeling like it's just not, like, like, I just don't agree with that. Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I still love her. Like, I'm going to that girl's concert. Like, but Joshua Boy came to the concert. I would best believe I'll be there too. But it's just like, I'm like a child of my divorced parents. Like, this is painful and should not have ever happened to him. For that to be caused by stress, and you know it's not from the show, it's from the music industry and like how he was treated throughout the fans. Like, that should not have happened to him in any way, shape, or form. At all. That's honestly unacceptable. Like, how do you... No. Unacceptable. I don't even know what to say other than that's unacceptable, and that should never happen to him in the first place, because he's been nothing but kind and spreading... He ran around the city of New York to promote his song and just for feel something, and so I'm like, why didn't... The feeling was not mutual at all. So that breaks my heart. So we'll see. Let's just continue.
But that difference is everything, because you are putting out the energy that you want, not the energy that you don't want. Because if you're putting out the energy you don't want, you're focused on what you don't want,
and that's what's gonna come.
Exactly. Law of attraction says it. It's
dude, I grew up with The Secret, like
nice.
And I grew up, in the church, and I was an altar boy, and I read the Bible a couple times, and it's a fun
I was an altar
book. But The Secret, dude, the universe and the power.
Yeah.
Oprah's Bible. That's what I
right. There was I haven't talked about this actually on an interview, really. I think I talked about it in my GQ interview, but I was doing an interview, I'm sure you've seen this, and they asked me to explain all the things I love about Harry Styles, and I'm going on, and I'm going on, and going on. And they're like, tell me more. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going on. They're like, what are more reasons why you like Harry? I'm like, so I keep going. I'm like, I guess this is my coming out video. When I'm saying that, it's not a lie. But I wasn't planning on saying that. It was sort of a casual thing where I was like, whatever. And honestly, like, I feel like we are in such a time where it's not, less and less does it need to be a formal coming out or whatever. 2 months later, the interview's trending #1 on Twitter. My entire team's texting me, calling me, like, what are we going to do? This is a crisis where, we have to figure this out. There's all this panic. People saying, and I remember I was at such a place at that moment where
why
I was
is it
like,
a panic if you're coming out? Like, it's not, what reality are you living in?
It's okay. We're gonna turn this around. Like, this isn't the end of the world. This is okay. And I think my reaction in response to that is it could have been the end of the world for me. It could have been like, oh my God, I didn't mean to say that. And now all this is happening, and now people know, and now this is. But it was like, you know what? I don't really have anything to hide here, and this isn't something that needs to be the end of the world. And so,
by the way, like, that's beautiful. Embracing honesty really went on to help a lot of people, truthfully, and no matter to what degree that is honesty and your truth, it did help a lot of people. And God, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But also, quite frankly, somebody saying to you that that's like the worst thing that could happen to you, or isn't that the worst thing? Reality is, sister, like, it's not. You had a terrible song written about you that ended up becoming one of the biggest songs of the last century, maybe. I don't fucking know. And that's way fucking worse, is it not?
I don't know. I don't know how to compare traumas. I don't know.
This idea that you couldn't even go into a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Because they play this song over and over again.
Yeah.
And I feel...
Admittedly, by the way.
I mean, that's like that's disgusting. You are a terrible human being who's making assumptions. Gross assumptions. And there's millions of you out there. And
I agree. Like, that is unacceptable. That's unprofessional. That's making him feel like a terrible human being when you don't even know his side of the story. Like, huh? Disgusting, just like Zach said. Disgusting.
But then that song that you've had creative freedom in creating and weaving this narrative gets branded to a person.
Yeah. No, it's tough. I mean, I think, that's part of what's, honestly, like I said, when I said I was having a hard time writing this year, what was stopping me so much is I can't write with any anonymity. I can't write about, I mean, I can, but people are going to assume it's about this or this or this or, and so, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think that there is something really special about people not knowing what a song is about, because then it's their own,
Yes.
And I think that's what I've tried to, that's what I want to do. And I think, unfortunately, for the next little bit, we're not in that ball game anymore. And it's unfortunate because, it takes away from the actual art and people's perception and interpretation for themselves. And it makes it into a whole other thing that, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world that, people have an understanding of what things are about. But I miss the anonymity of art, and so that was what was tough, is like, I don't want to do the same thing that's being done to me. That's not my goal. I'm not trying to tit for tat.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
100%. However, you cannot ignore a very vital part of this story, and hope that everything goes your way, and pretend like there's not this other reality to it, and then force that on somebody else, and then force them to deal with it, and expect it to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, treat me like garbage, and I'm just gonna stay quiet and let you do whatever you want.
But literally, more than just a single person treating you like that's what brought me to tears, dude. Is this idea that you can't even live a fucking normal life?
You can't even go out to a coffee shop without that song being played in the background and trying to kick him out. And what a sad world we live in.
I mean, yeah, part of it's like what I signed up for, but at the same time,
no, you didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, honestly, to be honest, I think I'm so used to it that I'm not fazed at all. Like, I appreciate your anger, but I'm like
very hurt by it. Well, just the idea of you not being able to live a normal life. Okay, obviously people come up to you, but there's a line there, and
well, I think there's something to be said about the fact that the person played it over speakers and would never ever come to me and say anything to my face ever. Her coworker apologized on her behalf. It's like, that's the thing, is like people are all talk, and that's something that's been really revealed to me over this last year. Is like, you can go on Twitter, you can go on TikTok and feel like the end of the world, and then you go outside and you're like, oh, nobody's actually in real life doing this stuff. And that's why my rule, and what I try and tell people, is like, before you tweet, close your eyes and picture that person, whoever it's to, in front of your face. Picture them literally right in front of you and say it to them. If you can say it to them and feel good, go ahead. Or if it still holds up, then go ahead. But I think that's where the internet is tricky, is it doesn't feel like real life. It doesn't feel like it's real people. And so you're able to do that. But unfortunately, then when it starts impacting real life, that's where there's a problem. To answer your question of like, do you love them or do you love who they used to be or who they are now? And the answer is, I don't know that it's any different. Obviously there's a difference between like knowing somebody and loving them. Like, certain people I don't know anymore at all. Like, I say, and set me free, I don't recognize you. Like, and so that's the thing, is like, I don't know them, but I can still, deep down, as hard as it might be sometimes, find love for that person or those people, whoever it might be, including people who, this is a kind of a side topic, but, I posted recently about people telling me, this is a trigger warning just for anybody listening. Is it okay if I talk about it?
Yeah, of course. And we're definitely, we have to discuss this. Yeah. I mean, you're going to talk about what people said online in regards to you talking about being abused as a kid.
Yeah. So I opened up in a GQ interview about, without going into much at all, just sort of mentioning that I had experienced abuse when I was a kid, and I've just recently been coming to and realizing what actually happened and fully processing that. And I'm still in the middle of processing that. And some people, like I said, are numb or are not seeing people as human beings, whatever it might be. And they were saying some things, and, somebody said like, you deserved it, and I forget what else.
They were downplaying the idea that a man could be abused.
Right,
it was the most disgusting, horrendous, grotesque, vile things I'd ever seen.
Speak it, Zach.
On the internet, by people who claim to support or have another human's best interests.
Right.
Disgusting.
See, people doesn't understand that it happens to anybody, no matter what your race is, gender, sexual orientation, religion, yada, yada, yada. It happens to anybody. I just remember back in high school, a kid had, I'm not going to say who or like where they came from, but a kid had transferred to my high school because he was sexually assaulted at his previous school. Like, it was a kid, it was a boy. Like, it's not, like, people who say that only women can get sexually assaulted, so false. Like, it's disgusting. It's, like Zach said, grotesque. I love that word. That's in, like, some Shakespeare crap I had to read. But, like, that's not, no, I don't even have any words. Because if I keep talking about this, I'm going to get angry. And that's a topic for another video. Maybe one day I'll do, like, a whole sit-down of my life and talk about crap that needs to be talked about. So, we shall see.
Yeah, and I wrote a song called "All in the Name of Love," and it's like, don't say it was all in the name of love. Like, don't say this is all for the greater good. But anyway,
when do you write that song?
I don't know, 6 months ago maybe. Yeah.
Are you gonna release it?
So, is "Set Me Free" attached to what you went through as a kid? Because, like, dude, the creaking sound at the beginning of the song that sounds like it could be a floorboard or a bed. Like, what is it?
It's the sustain pedal on the piano.
I mean, it is eerie.
Yeah.
And definitely sets a very dark tone to what ends up becoming a very freeing song.
Totally.
I can go, like, Why Must I Hurt for you to feel okay? Who are you talking to?
Yeah, I mean, writing that song, I wasn't thinking about any of the stuff that happened in my childhood. It wasn't really about that, you know. And honestly, the Why Must I Hurt for you to feel okay is this. You might say this is a bullshit answer, but it's not. It's about a handful. It's about a lot of people. It's about a lot of situations. You know, anytime somebody has specifically hurt somebody to feel better, like that. And I have countless examples in my life of people doing that, and I'm sure many people do as well. But I realized long after writing that song that it's an anthem for a lot more. And what I realized is that, forgive me if I get emotional.
No. Don't apologize for being emotional. He's getting red in the face, and I can see it in his eyeballs. Lord help me if I start crying.
People in my life who abused me, multiple people, they have held so much over me, so much. And whether that's trauma or whether that's shame or whether that's, you name it, they've held so much power over me. And this last year has shown me that they can only hold to you what you hold to yourself. If my friends who love me say, hey, we're concerned about you, and we think that I will absolutely listen to them because they have my respect and they have my best interest in mind. But I realized, like, I was giving so much power to so many people who did not deserve my power.
And this goes back a long time.
That, like, makes a lot of sense. Like, if your friends know something's wrong and they reach out to you, then they're the ones to keep. But I've had this experience in high school where, like, this girl, she just wasn't, loved her until, like, our last year, and it was just like, what that's happening? Like, she, like, kind of blamed all of us for something that we had no idea what was going on. Like, she could have at least told us, because we were all, like, we would ask, we were like, are you okay? Like, something we can do? And she kind of, like, brush it off, and we're like, what? Because we never knew what was going on, and then, like, we kind of just all stopped being friends. But it was just weird, like, if you can't blame other people for your actions if you don't let yourself open up. Kind of vice versa of what Josh is saying, but, like, at the same time, like, it's hard to tell, like, who's your friend and who's just using you and all this nonsense. But that's so, like, my eyes got a little watery from when he was talking, because that's sad. That's, like, should not have never happened to him in the first place.
Yeah, since about 5.
Well, at what point do you realize that like, I have a lot of questions, but at the same time, I can't even come close to imagining.
And, like, when you're, like, 5, you're not going to realize that's going on. Like, you're not going to realize that, like, you're so naive and young, and you don't know anything. So I don't blame him for what happened to him because he didn't know. I blame the abuser, obviously.
Through? At what point do you realize that, like, what was happening wasn't supposed to be happening? It wasn't the right thing. It wasn't. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah. So this is where it gets tricky. Because I am going to try a little bit to protect the identities of the people, because I know that I shouldn't, but this is not the format to. I think a key word for me in this healing process has been and. Because a lot of times what we'll say is, yes, they hurt me, but they're hurting themselves. And what that does is it invalidates your own experience. And the key for me, as somebody's mentioned this to me, is saying and. Because and can allow both to exist. So saying, this person abused me and they're suffering is how you allow space to, one, process and validate your feelings, but also then hold space for them as a human being. Not that you should or that they deserve it. I'm not saying that, but that's just my personal philosophy.
But you choose to see them as a human being. You choose to have slight empathy for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky thing, though, is because there's a reason why there's consequences to things.
That's what happens when you're such a nice person and you try to have sympathy for everybody. Like, it's hard not to have sympathy for people when you're a genuinely a nice person in real life. And that's who he is.
So that's where it's tricky, is because it's like, you know, you sort of allow them to continue to be what they are if you don't stand up and say something. But at the same time, I don't want them to experience pain, because there's no reason why they would do anything like that unless they themselves were in remarkable pain. There's no way that they would do that unless they were in serious pain. And so it's like, it's a tricky thing between, like, you know, being held accountable and being responsible, but also like not wanting somebody to have to go through what you went through.
What you went through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like went through at their hand.
Right. Exactly.
You only revisit this within the last year?
When it started, I was about 5, and it was domestic.
Meaning in your family, or what?
And I didn't, I was 5.
No.
So,
You don't know.
fuck if I know what's going on. And this person was, of course, you know, you can't tell anybody, et cetera, you know, and so I'm thinking, you know, if I tell anyone, I'm going to get in trouble or whatever. And then when I was about 13 or 14, this much older guy who was one of my close friends started sort of, and I talk about this in the podcast that I'm going to be putting out, but he started grooming me, and it started becoming something else. And I didn't even realize.
How old was he?
He was 18, 19.
How'd you meet him?
Theater. Yeah.
And you were a freshman.
Yes, barely. Not even. Yeah. So that sort of started happening, and I didn't really fully understand what was wrong. By the way, I had 5 sisters, so I didn't have any.
You had no male presence outside of your dad.
Exactly. And so I didn't know what a normal guy friendship. I didn't have any friends really growing up. Like, I didn't really know what a normal relationship was like. And so it started out with, you know, again, I don't know how far we can go on this, but
please,
sure,
whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, no, totally. And I do talk about this all in my podcast, so I feel comfortable talking about it. But you know, it starts out with like, oh, we should go jerk off. You know, why don't you go in the other room and I'll stay in this room? And it's like, okay, I didn't think guys did that, but sure. And then the next thing is like, oh, we can just stay in the same room, you know. And then it's progressive, whatever.
The person who's doing this to you when you were 5 lasts forever.
That makes me ill. Ill is an understatement, because that is repulsive. How do you people, you're just sick in the head. If you, that's all I got for that. I don't have any words.
Mom?
Till I was about 8 or 9, I think. I don't really remember, to be honest. I just have flash bulb images. I don't really have like a full memory of it.
Do you want to have a full memory of it?
I'm probably not.
No, right?
No, yeah, I'm okay with how I'm remembering it now, but I think I remember enough. And I think as I continue this process, my therapist actually was like, hey, if you talk about this stuff, make sure you mention that it is a multi-step process, you know, going through this stuff. And like I said, I realized this happened a year ago. And so even in the last year, a lot more has come up. And I've been like, wow, how did I forget that happened? The way I really am able to see it for what it is, because right now I can be like, yeah, I'm fine now. Like, and that's the thing is like, this is part of the toxic masculinity thing. People saying, go put on a dress. This is why it doesn't help, right? Is because I can say to myself, yeah, well, it happened a long time ago. It wasn't that bad, right? It's like, when I picture 5-year-old me, I burst into tears. When I picture 13-year-old me, I burst into tears. When you're able to see the version of you from the outside that was being abused, then you're able to see that person, that human being, didn't deserve that. And that's, again, I think a problem with this conversation, specifically around men. And I know that there's a lot more issues with sexual assault that don't involve male victims, but they're just as valid and just as important, I think, because, you know, a lot of times people who are more inclined to abuse have been abused themselves. And until we break the chain, until we have a space where we say, hey, if this happened to you and it was wrong and you knew it was wrong, you're valid. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to be saying and having space for. And the more we can do that, then people can process, and then people can actually talk about what they've been through and in a healthy way, instead of, you know, I saw people messaging me or whatever saying, if they said that to you, I can't imagine what they'd say to me if I were to come out about what I experienced, right? It's like,
that is the opposite of how we fix this problem. And you just like hit the nail on the head so precisely. The way you break the cycle of abuse is by releasing the stigma attached to opening up about it.
Yes.
And you allow people to converse in safe, healthy environments. I mean, God, the way you fix this cycle is by allowing people to speak openly about it and by getting rid of the stigma of mental health and trauma.
I love that he said that, because like that is the only way to fix the cycle, is to talk about it and to like break the cycle. Like it's not your fault. Like, talk about it to people.
God, man, we're all human beings. We all go through things. So the fact that like anybody out there would make any sort of space, whether it be digitally or physical, unsafe for somebody who's just looking to share and open up about their experiences and are in search of healing. Are you proud of who you've become?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah. I think
very proud of him.
a lot of people were like, what took you so long to say these 3 songs, for example? Kind of a different, diverting real quick from the abuse. In this, my current public situation, people were like, what took you so long to say this? And what took you long to find the words and the courage and all that stuff? And I realized that when you don't have love for yourself, then when other people hate you, it reconfirms the hate you already have for yourself, so you believe them. Or when you have shame and you think you are unworthy of love, and people confirm that.
I love that answer. Like, if you don't learn to love yourself, then how is anybody else going to like love you or everything you put out there? And like, or vice versa, if they don't like your stuff, it's gonna reiterate like why you don't like it. So yeah, I was gonna talk about me for a second, but I'm not gonna do that because I physically am done talking about myself. So
Question, I am very, very proud of who I am and who I've become and who I'm continuing to be. I think every day I'm learning more and more the ways in which I can improve and I can help myself and I can help other people. And I think, you know, standing up for what is right and putting my best foot forward and getting through this year, which was to hell and back and hell again, getting through that and who I've become, I'm absolutely proud of that and excited to sort of see what's next, because I think this year has forced me to become a completely different person for the better. You know, I think I was sort of coasting, and this year has just put me in a box and said, climb out, you know, and I had to like Batman in the cave, like, you know, had to just rely on my own strength and rely on my own everything to you know, jump and climb out of the cave.
Proves a lot to yourself.
For sure.
You're incredibly capable.
Absolutely.
But do these 3 songs, Crisis, Secret, and Set Me Free, do these 3 songs come out and then you are confident in yourself or comfortable in yourself? Or you used a word when you were giving the answer before, like you know, and you talked about these 3 records, like do you feel like, I'm trying to figure out the right way to phrase it, like, do you need these 3 songs to be out in the world in order for you to feel
cathartic?
Yeah. Or is writing it and just having them exist on a hard drive somewhere enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I remember, like I said, at least 100 songs from this last year. I was driving once and I was listening to a song and I was like, oh, I just wish this could come out and people would know that. Well, not one of these 3 songs. But anyway.
Really?
Yeah, and I realized in that moment, I was like, hold on. Revenge or anything like that is not going to give you peace at all.
No, he needs his better than revenge moment. He needs that right now. Give it to him. Let him release it.
If you're looking for revenge to give you peace, you're looking down the wrong direction.
Sorry.
It's just not going to. And so I realized that I need to find my peace on my own, regardless of the music, regardless of the public, regardless of anybody else. I have to.
You should be incredibly proud of yourself.
Amen.
I don't know you incredibly well just off this conversation, but I know to a T, I know with every fiber of my being that you have such a beautiful moral fiber and your empathy is like it's admirable, bro. It is admirable to the point where it's like I can see the good in people. I can understand their struggle, but like you are incredible. Truly, truly, truly.
Like, you cannot hate this boy. You physically, mentally, you cannot hate him. If you have any dislike for him, there's something going on, because after listening and watching this, what? What?
Shucks. Are you, like, I don't know. I don't even, like, are you surprised that you've been able to, like, what do you want from society when you chose to share your baggage with them? Did you have expectations? Or did you just do it because you felt like you needed to for you?
Yeah, it's funny. So there was a period where, and my friends all know this, I was like mortified of putting out anything that talked about anything. I was like, no way. I'm going to get eaten alive, all that shit. And I was allowing the people who hated me and who did not care for me at all to dictate my life.
Yes, he's like, I agree. Like, people should not, like, your haters, they make you who haters gonna hate, as Miss Swift has said. Like, they're gonna hate, but they're the ones that will go and watch your video, talk crap about it, and then make you your money. Like, they sit here and they're gonna watch it, and it benefits you. It doesn't benefit them. Like, it works out for you in the long run. And that's what's happened to me. If we all cannot tell by now, if you go deep through my comment section, it's very lovely. I don't like to read the comment sections. I only read a certain amount of them. If, like, my regulars come on here, I know who you are, and I read theirs because I love them and they are great human beings. So, yeah.
I was putting so much weight into those people, and what my therapist helped me to realize, and my friends helped me to realize, is so many people feel like they don't have a voice. And I am in such a fortunate position in which I do have a voice, in which I can say something and have any sort of impact, whether that's small or large. Like, in general, I have a voice. And so to me, it became so apparent that it's essential that I speak the truth. It's essential that I put out this art that expresses what I've been through and will help people, and it has. And that's what's been the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, is people saying, this helped me get through this, or this put into words what I couldn't.
Set Me Free has helped me tremendously in so many ways that, like, I didn't even think it had helped me. Like, some stuff happened at school back in August, and it was really, really bad for, like, me. I was in a very bad depressive state of mind. I went to therapy, and she really helped me. Like, it was a bad time. It was so bad. And then, obviously, when I reacted to it, I ended up crying again because I was unstable. I think I still am, but we're getting better.
And whatnot. Like, seeing that, it just makes it all worth it. So, in a way, it's for me, and in a way, it's on behalf of people who either have been mistreated or have been beaten down and have sort of let it consume them and haven't been able to get back up. And I think the fact that I've gotten it back up and I am on my own 2 feet is you know, not something to be ashamed of. And it is, you know, so putting that stuff out is like, you know, it's funny. People think that people think that it's just, I don't know. People's opinions don't get to me anymore. Like, after this year, like, there's nothing you can say to me I haven't seen.
Exactly.
Like, and it's like, there's so many people benefiting. It's like, the noise doesn't matter anymore. Like, again, you know, this is what's so cool about my Discord channel, is like, we're building such a beautiful community and so many great people. And any time I see any negative comment from somebody who literally doesn't have any idea what they're talking about, it doesn't, not only am I like, it's fine, ignore it. It doesn't even faze me, because I'm like, my purpose is greater than your disapproval of me. Like, what I'm doing and how I'm helping people, hopefully, is far, far more important. And again, even if everybody hates me and one person is better off because of my art, then I'm going to put it out. And I'm not going to let people bully me into shutting up. And I think I probably did let people bully me into shutting up in the beginning of the year, including myself, in terms of just like feeling like I couldn't say anything and feeling like, and now it's like, no, you don't get to tell me. You don't get to tell me what to do and who I am.
Did they spread rumors about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Especially in theater. It's like, that's how it goes. But
rooted around what?
Sexuality, funnily enough. Especially because it was a Christian theater. So, you know, there's all that shame and all that bullshit. You know, it's just different things here and there of like, oh, he made out with this person. And, you know, stupid shit. Like, that just doesn't... But when you're in high school, it feels like the end of the world, because, you know, it is your world. And that's another thing is, when you have shitty friends and you start to realize your friends are shitty and you're like, I want better friends. Like, for example, there was a period right before I moved to LA, where there was a really nasty rumor going around. And everybody, like at least once a day, someone would come up to me and be like, hey, I heard a rumor, whatever. And I would explain myself and they wouldn't believe me, or they didn't, whatever.
What?
And I just slowly was like losing friends or losing people I could trust.
How would
and
you
I
believe a
remember being
rumor
like,
over your
oh my God,
friend?
all
Like,
of my
what type
friends, I
of
can't trust
backwards
anybody.
track
And I have
that?
one friend that I was like, I know I can trust her no matter what. And I don't want to go too much into the rumor, but basically it was about me and this other guy, this older guy. Somebody spread a rumor that we had that they had caught us in the act or whatever. That rumor wasn't true, but what I wasn't able to express to people was that it wasn't consensual. So, like, that was where it was even multi-layered and fucked. What's crazier is that a teacher was spreading that rumor. A teacher.
Wait, what?
Yeah, crazy.
So this is high school?
I hope whoever they were got fired.
So basically, again, it was like day after day, someone would come to me like, hey, I heard this rumor. And I'm like, that's not true. And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. It sounds about right. And it was just like all this shit. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. So that happened to happen. And then again, there was this one friend. And I literally was like, when all else fails, I have her. She calls me one night and she says, hey, I heard a rumor. And I was like, okay. I explained to her it's not true. And she's like, you can tell me. And I'm like, no, like, what the hell? So anyway, it was ridiculous. And then she ended up hanging up the phone, and I cried myself to sleep. I was literally like, I have no friends. I was like, I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I have nobody. I'm completely alone. I literally wept myself to sleep. I woke up to a phone call. The phone call woke me up from my manager that I booked my first role, Stuck in the Middle, in LA. And I moved to LA that day. And it was just so cool because it was such an example of like all those people were falling away and I thought the end of the world. All of my friends at the time were gone. And I was like, I can't trust anybody, nothing. Immediately I'm catapulted into another universe and I meet all these new people and all these, wonderful people. And so,
the universe works in mysterious ways. That's all I gotta say, because look at him now, thriving.
That's when
It brings me so much joy.
Yeah. It really had a great turnaround. It was a shitty bit, and then it turned around really wonderfully. But I think when people have shitty friends, they settle because they don't have any other friends, and they think, well, I can't abandon these friends because then I'm going to be alone. And I'm telling you now, you're better off alone than with shitty friends.
Amen. Because those shitty
Preaching
friends
to
will
the
hold you
choir.
back from doing things that you never thought were possible.
100%. And
Not only through the music you create, but through the podcast you're going to launch called Taboo Talk.
mm-hmm.
When does that start?
We're trying to get it out as soon as possible. I don't have a date, honestly, but as soon as possible.
Lovely.
That
I'm listening to it.
the thought of people being able to openly share their experiences and their traumas, like we said earlier in this conversation, really will lend itself to breaking this vicious, disgusting cycle that is fueled by people being ashamed, people feeling afraid, people feeling
Alone.
not worthy and alone. I gotta ask, like, are you nervous to go back to set on High School Musical?
Yes, I want to know.
The series?
You got it right. I am not. I'm very excited. I think we have a really, really awesome season lined up, and I think, it's going to be truly a blast. I think
He loves that cast. Him and Matt Cornett are like the bromance that is unbreakable.
the great episodes lined up, and it's going to be, I think, the most fun one yet in terms of writing and morale and all that stuff. So I'm really excited.
Is it inappropriate after asking about star signs to ask how you identify? Do you identify as a queer guy?
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable saying that? I mean, you don't have to. You can also be honest. Like,
No, yeah, I 100% do.
We allow straight people in this room.
Do you?
I mean, I don't know.
No way.
It's been hard.
So far, I don't believe you. I'm just kidding. No, but it's funny when I did come out, every fucking person was like, "What are you? Tell us now."
Yeah, but you don't need to say anything.
That's what I'm saying. So then, yes, you could say I'm queer.
Yeah, because that's the most broad definition
Right.
to being under the LGBTQ plus
Yes.
umbrella.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's just funny. People need to know. It's like,
No, we don't.
We're in 2021. Like, it is not. We're not in boxes anymore. That's just not how it goes.
100%.
So,
You're not in boxes anymore.
no, we are not.
Amen. I do believe that we are on a path to a gender blind, race blind, sexuality blind society where labels don't matter at all, and the label is human.
Yes.
bet. Wow.
Oh,
Zach
think about
said
And that was
that.
about a snap. That was good.
Yeah. It's hard to think that anybody out there would ever bash you.
I know.
Or send
come
you
on
any
now.
sort of negativity or want to hurt you in any possible way. It like really, it freaks me out to a certain degree. Like I don't get it. But.
Yeah, I think specifically in the last year, I've become a scapegoat in a way, and people don't see me when they see me; they see their pain. They
see the person who broke their heart.
Exactly, and so that's the thing, is that's how I keep some distance from it. Is those people don't know me at all. They aren't even really seeing me. The image of me is attached to the pain from their past.
But the reality is your heart's been the one that's been broken for fucking way longer than theirs.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, but it's to each their own, and most people, only see a sliver of things, and they only get a glimpse, and they only hear things, and a lot of times, people don't actually know from the source. They're just hearing, oh, this person said this, and this, so it must be true or whatever. And I think, just remembering that is how I keep my peace and my inner balance. Is like, they really don't know me, and so yeah, that's all you can sort of do, and also like, it'd be a real bummer if all of this experience turned me into a really bitter person. That'd be a bummer. If anything, it's shown me how much more I need to be loving and patient. It's like, so anyway,
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's like really something special.
Thanks.
And people get to know you through the music you put out there. Hopefully, there's more music on the way coming in the new year.
Yes.
But again, Crisis, Secret, Set Me Free, all in the link in the description below. But like, I also love Lie Lie Lie.
Feel Something you never mentioned. Have you heard Feel Something?
Oh, I love Feel Something. Hold me like it's the very last time, at least for tonight. Pull my hair and kiss my head, and we'll get high.
Yes.
Have I heard Feel Something? Who the f did you write that one about?
Oh man, you're asking all the fun questions today.
That's right. Who's pulling whose hair?
Listen. This is where we get back to the anonymity and art here. This is where we leave it to the imagination. That's I know I'm not giving you the answer you want.
I'm more like, when I was listening to all the music, and I've listened to it a bunch, I was trying to figure out more like timeline, and then I just think it kind of was too scattered for me to really like understand where it all
See,
fell.
I try to do the timeline stuff too, but after a while I just give up, because especially now with it being 2022 and not 2021, I'm really at a loss for things now, so I give up.
But where does
I don't think anyone can understand, by the way, any of the timeline. Like, nobody knows.
No.
Nobody actually knows. If I were to sit down here and lay out the reality of this whole situation, people would be mind blown. It would be nothing like people think. But
I mean, you can if you want.
nah, that's okay.
Yeah, because you're a good person.
I'm trying to be.
You want to forgive these people who have hurt you, but once you forgive, do you let them in again?
I think that's case by case. I think it depends
you forgive,
on
but you don't forget.
what they did, first of all, and also like who they are now. Because sometimes people will say like, I'm sorry and I'm working on myself, and that's great. But a lot of times people don't change overnight, and I think it's important to know that. And
I can't thank you enough for your honesty.
Yeah, me either.
And your words and today have the power to help human beings in a way that's like, you can't even measure it. You will not even be able to quantify the light that is going to be shed on so many people's dark reality that they've just packed away into a box, and it's been collecting dust.
Yeah. I mean, that this year has forced me to face all that stuff. So in a
Why
way,
do it alone?
Right? Yeah. Well, and I do have to thank you, truly. Like, I said this in the hallway, but I'm not really doing any on-camera interviews right now, like at all. And I think because I've been screwed over by so many different outlets and so
and
many
he shouldn't, because everybody in these interviews, I know for a fact when High School Musical, the series, like season 3 comes out, it's going to be all, they might honestly put them in separate interviews, but they're going to ask him only questions about Olivia, and they're going to only ask him her questions about him. Like, that's literally how journalism works, and I hate that, but that's how they make their money. But at the same time, it's just not respectful of anybody's privacy.
People that I just have so much fear around, trusting people, because people will twist what I say and whatnot. So I just have to thank you truly for creating a space in which I feel safe. I mean, all of my friends who have been on the show are like, oh my God, Zach, the best. He's going to take care of you. Don't worry at all. So thank you for what you do and for giving people this space and being so like present and so so warm, and it really makes all the difference in the world, because I wouldn't open up if you weren't as open as you are. So really, I have to pay thanks to you.
You, dude, are really remarkable in your music. You're one of my favorite artists. So I've been trying to get you on this show for like a year and a half. Like, ask your publicist. I've sent more emails about you. Really, like before, like I did before anything. Like, I genuinely give a fuck about your music. I give a fuck about who you are, and I can't thank you enough for being here and really, really, really just being yourself. And,
well, Zach, I know I'm not a singer or a songwriter or anybody big, but I really want to go on your show. I love you. I love these interviews. I've been watching you for a long time.
But to answer your question about success, to me, numbers are not a thing in my life. Like, ask anybody. Like, this is something I have never said publicly. I don't know how much money I'm making on High School Musical. I refuse to know. I refuse to know how much money I have in the bank. I refuse to know. I don't need to know. Numbers to me are irrelevant. It's energy, not numbers. I don't need to know.
I love that.
I was just thinking about
let's
that.
Pay
like,
the
how
bills
much
with
you get
energy.
paid.
Let's think about them, and they'll get paid.
I realize that is a very privileged thing to say. But I will say this. About a month before I booked High School Musical, woke up to a notification from Chase Bank that I had -$2 in my bank account. -$2. And it didn't faze me for a moment. I went, I have to pay rent in a week, and I have no idea how it's going to happen, but it's gonna work itself out.
I don't look at the numbers. I just waiting to see when my card gets declined. Got my hair done yesterday, and my card got declined, and I was like, oh, I thought I had money in here. I did not. I had to use my credit card.
Joshua Bassett, I have, again, I said it, I'll say it again, the most respect and appreciation for you. Your honesty is commendable and really deeply, genuinely appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for hanging out. I'm glad that you're going to have a podcast.
Thank you.
I look forward to listening to it.
I don't know how I wasn't aware that you were trying to get me on for a year and a half, but coming on the show is seriously a dream come true. I watched so many of your interviews, so thank you. This is truly an honor. Thank you.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding. What? I'm serious. This is not me blowing smoke.
Well,
I'm dead ass.
I'm sure we let you down.
No, this is everything I wanted and more. It was great. Well, truly.
God, you are loved and you are welcome here at any second in time, 24/7. You really genuinely are one of my favorite artists, and now I can say you're one of my favorite people on earth, and you're helping make society better. So thank you for being here, and
thank you.
Yeah, you're a gift.
I just got little butterflies. That was so cute.
Thank you, Zach Sang.
Hey, beautiful human. Thanks for watching our full.
Zach Sang, you did it again. I love your videos. I will always love your videos. You make everything easy to watch. So, with that being said, I will wrap this up quickly because I don't want to edit this. Joshua Bassett deserves all the love in this world, and I hate that he received so much hate, and that hate put him in the hospital. So I think that's terrible. That should never have happened to anybody in any way, shape, or form. But I hope this video gives like everybody a new perspective on him and how he is as a human being, and not like only take one person's side. There's always two sides to every story, and that will never go away. So I really appreciate and like I'm welcoming the fact that he was able to open up to us and not hold anything back. Yes, this was trigger warning for some people, but I'm happy that he was able to give his state of mind and realize that, like, for us to realize that it's not his fault. Like, no, I don't agree. No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go finish rewatching Euphoria. So do not expect me to do reaction videos to those because I'm not doing it. One, because it's TVMA and I will probably get kicked off of this app. And those episodes are long, so I don't think I can do that. But when High School Musical comes back, I'll do those. So thank you guys for clicking on. Sorry, this was this was like 2 weeks later. So sorry. I hope you guys like this video, and thanks for clicking on. I appreciate every single one of you, my friends. So yeah, have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.